Transcending 1999 to 2012, a series of videos eternally retold.
SoulCalibur month.
Hello and welcome to SoulCalibur month. Back in 2012, SoulCalibur V was released, and I was at the red box and I saw it, and I really remember liking SoulCalibur 2, so I wanted to give this one a try before I actually bought it, see if it was worth it. So I picked it up, took it home. The online was pretty fun, and I loved the character creator, but it also had a story mode. So I decided to start that, played it for 2.5 hours, and after I was done, I realized that was the worst story I've ever experienced. So I popped it out of my Xbox 360, put it back to its case, rushed to Walgreens, and just shoved it back in the machine like it was a cursed Egyptian artifact and I was trying to get rid of the plague it had brought upon my house. Well, this June, I decided to make a bunch of SoulCalibur content, and I thought, hey, looking at that old story might make for a good video. However, it was 6 years ago. I don't remember it that clearly at all. Maybe, with a fresh perspective, it'll actually be good. Nope, still worse than Nazis.
From a story aspect, it's just as horrible, but with an understanding of game design, it makes it bafflingly bad. I want to know how you can even write a story this abysmal. It's no surprise though, SoulCalibur 4 was not a massive success, so Namco pretty much wanted to be done with the property. But with begging and pleading from the SoulCalibur fans, they managed to convince Namco to give SoulCalibur another shot.
This does not, by the way, mean that Namco cared at all about the final product.
There are a lot of things wrong with SoulCalibur V, but today we are only looking at the story mode. So for a majority of the game you play as Patroclus, the son of Sophitia. By the way, the game never actually says that, but I do feel that it's worth mentioning. And that said, that is the only bit of information that I'm going to tell you that the story mode doesn't. So where do I start with deconstructing this dumpster fire? Let's go with the art style. See this cutscene? Gorgeous, right? I honestly think that the story would have been better if it didn't exist. 90% of this story is told through sepia panels and voice acting. But the few glimpses at the beautiful cutscenes makes me so mad that the whole thing isn't like this. I mean, how hard, honestly, is animating 3D models? I mean, look at these sepia panels. They are beautiful! There are probably over 100 of them. And they are highly detailed. Was it really much easier to draw these than have the cutscenes put together? Honestly, I hate the panels because they are gorgeous, but whenever you look at the real cutscenes, I have to on principle. Alright, that gripe out of the way, let's go to our main character. So there's some soldiers in the city and they threaten me. I defeat them and it's all good. I'll attack soldiers, and then our main guy, our hero, the man we need to relate to and like, goes up to some ordinary dude and says,
"You're pale and filthy. You must be a Malfested as well."
"No, my lord. I am not one of them."
How unfortunate there's no way to prove it.
Our protagonist, ladies and gentlemen.
In storytelling, do you know who murders innocent civilians? The villain! Someone you're supposed to hate and want to take down! Not the dude you're playing as! So Patroclus goes to his lord and asks for his next mission. He also asks if there's any word about his sister. You see, his sister was kidnapped 4 years ago and he's been looking for her ever since. His boss tells him, oh, she was spotted in this city. Go kill Malfested and maybe she'll pop up. And Patroclus goes and does this. But of course, instead of Malfested, he actually kills innocent civilians. But by the way, they use this term, Malfested, several times, but they never tell the viewer what it is. You can't have a term that you use 100 times and not explain it. I mean, the closest explanation we have of what a Malfested is that they are pale and dirty.
Pale and dirty? Am I Malfested?
So before Patroclus can murder another person in cold blood, like a lovable main character, A man stops his sword and challenges him to a fight. After the battle, the man says, "Are you actually any closer to finding your sister?" And he just walks off. Patroclus is intrigued, but he ultimately goes back to his boss and then kind of presses the issue. It's like, "Hey, I've been working for you for like 4 years, and I'm wondering, do you actually have any info about my sister?" And this makes the boss man mad, and he straight up fires Patroclus. "I'm not a dog, I'm a holy warrior." And then he gets attacked by a ceiling Valdo. Whoa, hold on. You have a Valdo in the rafters at all times. Why do you need me to go out? Screw it. I kill the Valdo and I go find Zwei. He's a werewolf. Actually, he summons a wolf torso to fight for him during the fights. I don't know. He works for Siegfried, and Siegfried wants to get to know me. And the best way to get to know another man is to cross blades. So we do. I win, and then he just hands over the SoulCalibur and agrees to help me find my sister. Now we switch to Patroclus' sister, Pyrrha. She sits with a bloodied sword surrounded by a bunch of murdered civilians, and Tira comes over and says, "You better fight because the local militia is coming and they're gonna think that you killed all these people." And honestly, I think she did. So she pulls up her sword and we fight them off. After fighting them off, there's a little back and forth. Hey, I'll go ahead and show it right now.
Hey, you're a malfested. That's what you're supposed to do. But I'm human. Normal humans don't go around killing people and burning towns. Oh, by the way, you have a family. A brother. Don't you want to meet your brother? Yes, thank you.
Hey.
Humans must be killed. Right, Pyrrha?
No. Not really.
Now back to Patroclus. The only clue he has about the kidnapper is that she uses a ring blade. And when a woman appears in the forest with a ring blade, Patroclus loses his mind. And then I fight Tierra. After the battle's over, I chase her off to a battlefield. And then I fight Tierra.
Tell me, what fighting game has character A fight character B? And then in the very next round, has character A fight character B, presumably at the same difficulty setting?
So I defeat Tira, save my sister,
Now it's shulk time.
and then Zwei and Viola catch up with me, and then Patroclus tells them,
I'm leaving with my sister. If you have a problem with that, then don't bother coming along.
You're going home?
Yes, I plan on living out the rest of my life with my sister.
they're admittedly a little upset that the wielder of the SoulCalibur is quitting his mission before defeating Nightmare, but hey, what can you do about it? So we're walking through the forest, and then out of nowhere, Astaroth attacks us. It's a pretty easy fight, but Patroclus did receive a little cut on his arm. It's no big issue though. Ivy just so happens to be passing through the forest. She comes over and helps patch my wound. She mentions my SoulCalibur, and then Patroclus is just a gigantic jerk to her. I hate that I have to play as this character.
Pyrrha learned for the first time what family meant as she tried to forget her painful past. Her brother was happy that his wish had now been fulfilled. The siblings didn't...
Oh my gosh, stop!
Anyway, we get jumped by Valdo, but since Patroclus' arm is all janky, Pyrrha steps into the fray and takes him down. So we head into town, and then we are attacked by Nightmare, who was Patroclus' old boss. I hate this story so much. Patroclus just stands there slack-jawed, like, what? So Pyrrha needs to step in to save his bacon. But before the fight,
I'm going ghost!
this version of Pyrrha is actually funner to control, but she doesn't have a combo with more than 3 hits. Actually, a lot of characters don't have more than 2-hit combos. What kind of fighting game that you're gonna put online doesn't have combos? So, after the fight, Patroclus is scared because he just saw his sister turn into a spooky phantom. I mean, he doesn't even know how she got back into her exoskeleton. All he knows is that she's a Malfested, and he's been trying to kill Malfested for the last 4 years. And the reason he's been doing that is so he can save his sister. She's one now. He just gets confused and just runs away. And then Tira walks over to the poor, vulnerable Pierre and says, "See, family is stupid, but I'll stand by your side. Let's go kill some people." So Patroclus goes back to Siegfried and explains the situation, and Siegfried decides his mind is clouded. "Patroclus, you're not fit to wield that holy sword. Zwei, take it back." And now I get to play as Zwei, just for this one fight, but it's pretty fun.
Show him who's boss.
After After Patroclus gets beaten, the sword turns into a katana. And now Patroclus has a new fighting style. He's also visited by like a vision of his mother. Now we have a rematch as Zwei, but this time I'm playing as the new Patroclus. I need to do this fight to prove that I'm worthy. This time Patroclus wins, and he decides that he needs to purify the SoulCalibur to unlock its full potential. Fortunately, when Ivy was patching me up, she mentioned something about that, so I know that I can do that if I find her. And I find her quite easily. I explain the situation, and she agrees to help me, but first she needs to prove that I'm worthy. So we fight. Afterward, she explains that I need 2 treasures from the Orient, Keelik's staff and Shenghua's sword, which are now wielded by their children. Luckily, I tracked them down instantly and asked them if they'll help me. They will, but first they need to prove that I'm worthy.
My last 3 fights were to prove I'm worthy. This story is poorly written.
But right before the fight happens, Maxie walks up and says, Lexi, you can't just fight a guy because he's handsome. And then I need to fight Lexi, Maxie, Shiba, and Natsu.
Yeah, oh man, I would much rather play as these 4 characters. Actually, you know what would make for a really good SoulCalibur story mode? Tell the story of SoulCalibur. They've never told the lore through, like, actual cutscenes. That'd be amazing. You could say how Siegfried became Nightmare. You could have Keelik, Shenghua, and Maxie going and stopping him. You could talk about how Cervantes, he got the SoulCalibur. You could have the battle where Raphael pierced SoulCalibur. Oh, that'd make an amazing story. But no! We're gonna go with borderline incestuous siblings and highly questionable character motivations.
After I beat down my foes, we have a super long cutscene where Lexi and I go to Ivy with the weapons. Ivy performs some ritual to purify the SoulCalibur, and once it's purified, Patroclus' mother appears again and says how proud she is of Patroclus for taking up the SoulCalibur, and now she will help him to kill Pyrrha.
You know, like a loving mother.
We go to Pyrrha, I whoop her tail, and then there's a cutscene where I murder her. Hey, an actual malfested kill. Nice going, Patroclus. And then she dies all alone, and we get an epilogue.
Patroclus sacrificed his family and lit the flames of hope. The minions of the cursed souls dispersed, and only order remained in the world. He has no regrets.
That's a bittersweet ending. I think it's here that in the whole game that the writing is actually the... Wait, what are you doing?
I want to go back to the world before I made my mistake.
What the frick? Are you kidding me? He has no regrets. That sounds like a freaking regret to me. Oh my gosh, this is 30 seconds late. Only 30 seconds goes by. And you wanna know what happened the 30 seconds before that? He was just on another plane of existence. They never explain how he got to astral chaos. He's just there. He sees an old man. He says, oh man, I really wish I didn't murder my sister. And then his wish comes true. He gets to go back in time. What? This is a bad story.
So then I'm back to the cutscene with Lexi and Ivy, and I have to watch the whole thing over again. And it's exactly the same, right up until the point where Mommy says, let's go kill Pyrrha. But then Patroclus says, no Mom, let's save her. Then the spirit gets mad, and she says, you know what? SoulCalibur is no longer purified. How about that? Now I'm playing as Zwei! Him and Siegfried are making their way to Nightmare's castle. I cut my way through some of their soldiers, but then we have a steep spike in difficulty. For the next 20 minutes, Nightmare mercilessly beats my hiney. Zwei is one of those characters that has no combos that can do more than 2 hits, but Nightmare can do this!
Battle 1. Fight!
Ow! Ow! Stop! 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 What? I am pressing block! Stop!
It wouldn't even be so bad if every fight up to this point wasn't so stupidly easy. I joke you not, I did not lose a single fight in the 17 rounds leading up to this. I think I got at least 1 perfect in each one of the fights. That's right, at least 1 of the 3 rounds, I took no damage. Oh, and that's another thing! 3 rounds! I have to beat Nightmare 3 out of 5 times! Even freaking Shere Khan or the Jungle Book or Mortal Kombat whatever, you only have to win twice! But no, I need to beat this merciless monster 3 times somehow. And eventually, I did it. And And the cutscene afterwards didn't have sound. You know, I vaguely remember the cutscene not having sound last time I played as well. I did find the cutscene online that worked, but you know, this game sucks as a story. Gameplay-wise, difficulty-wise, user interface-wise, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't fail on a technical level as well. Oh, and in that cutscene, Zwei dies.
Congratulations, contestant number 1! You just overcame the hardest boss in the game! Jimmy, tell him what he's won!
The cold embrace of death.
After that, Patroclus shows up again, this time with the resolve to save Pyrrha, rather than kill her. The fight is as easy as the first one. Actually, it's easier than the first one, because the computer, let me get away with doing this to her. After the fight, Patroclus wants to destroy the Soul Edge, because he believes that its destruction will free Pyrrha. But as he approaches, the SoulCalibur wants to kill Pyrrha. When Patroclus resists the sword's will, he gets encased in a prison of ice. Or maybe crystals, I don't know. Pyrrha wakes up, but realizing that she was spared, she grabs the Soul Edge, which moved halfway across the arena, to try and save Patroclus. Meanwhile, Patroclus has a vision where he sees his mother again, and he says that mothers should never have their children fight each other, and then the being says she is not his mother. She is the soul of the SoulCalibur, and Patroclus simply projected his mother onto the sword for guidance.
So, you just imagine your mother, 80% naked. Okay then.
Now you have another ridiculously difficult fight against SoulCalibur. The main problem is she shields every single attack, and then counterattacks with like 5 of her own. If someone uses shield too much in this game, you use your throw. But when you try to throw her... Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Mommy!
Eventually, after over 30 literal minutes, I defeated her. Patroclus, I don't feel so good. And here's the thing, even before the fight, the thing said, I am not your mother. And after every freaking loss, he threw down his sword and said,
You're not our mother!
You are a snort.
And then, and this really got my goat, he said,
Goodbye, Mother.
Patroclus returns to his sister, and they decide to rid the world of these swords for good. And they stab the SoulCalibur with the Soul Edge. And this is actually pretty amazing. You know, because Julian and Versa is actually singing this song. Contextually in the story, this is another infuriatingly stupid point, but at least it's finally over. So, that is the worst story I have ever experienced. It almost killed the SoulCalibur series. How do you even write a story this poorly?
Johnson, we just got approved for the new SoulCalibur game. I want the final script on my desk at 5 o'clock.
But mate, it's 4:30 right now!
The clock's a ticking! Well, I hope you liked that video, because I had to pay a very hefty price for one of those jokes. I had to break a Ticonderoga pencil. But if you disliked the video, slam that dislike button and unsubscribe, because next week I'm not going to be so negative. I'm not going to look at something bad about SoulCalibur. I'm going to be looking at my top 10 favorite characters. See you then.